there's such a high saturation on YouTube of different content and different comedy content that all you can do is stay in your own lane and say, well, what is my perspective? What can I bring to the table that's original, that's only mine?
From a young age, Julie Nolke wanted to get into comedy and become an actress, but her dreams weren't going as planned. She was told people who look like her, like the girl next door, would never be considered funny in the industry.
Here's our gaslighter. I like to think I'm a bit of an expert on adult films. I watch a lot of them.
So she jumped on YouTube in 2015 and started creating her own content, and has since racked up over 1 million followers. Now the Canadian comedian and actor is using her online platform to encourage women everywhere to own their own voice.
Yes, exactly.
And show us that she is, in fact, funny AF.
Let's start right at the beginning. I mean, you're kind of a jack of all trades. You're a comedian, an actress, you're a YouTuber, you're a cook. How did it all begin? Take me to the beginning.
I'm originally from Calgary. Calgary, when I was growing up, didn't have a great art scene at the time. So I moved to Toronto and I went to York University. And I got my BFA there in acting. At the time, really the only way to get into the industry was you get an agent, you audition for roles, you book small roles, and then you build up to book larger roles. Then you move to LA, and then you are like a certified good actor. And I tried that path. I got the agent, I auditioned, and I could not book anything. I ultimately was kind of frustrated and a little bit heartbroken by the industry because I felt like it was keeping me, in a way, from practicing my craft. I felt like the gatekeepers that control who gets in and who doesn't were stopping me from doing what I loved so much. And so that is where the YouTube channel was born. It was an opportunity for me to practice in front of the camera, to cut my teeth, to try different things. And it originally started as a food show. As you mentioned, I do love cooking.
Hey, welcome back to Feeling Peckish. Thank you for clicking on this video.
I went that route because I was really heartbroken by the industry and anything to do with acting. I couldn't even watch the Oscars. I was just so disappointed. And this was years. It was 7 years that it took to not book a job. And of course, in that I had created my YouTube channel. And so I was like, well, I'll pave my own way. I'll go my own path. And so I did start a cooking show and it built up some traction. I was able to make original content for different production companies and kind of earn a living that way. And I was able to quit my Joe job. I worked as a server and then in an office. But I hit like this really pivotal fork in the road where I realized that this food show that I had developed was kind of taking off a little bit.
Making all that YouTube money.
And I could keep going the route of food host, maybe write a cooking book, maybe try to get on Food Network, something like that. Or I could kind of take a step back, stop what I was doing, reevaluate, and instead pivot and get back into acting. I had always made sketches on my YouTube channel, but I started making sketches fully. I stopped doing all the food stuff, and yeah, it just kind of took off from there. That's how we got here.
Was comedy something that you've always wanted to get into? Was that the type of acting that you wanted to do?
I did a lot of improv in Calgary in high school, and that was my bread and butter. And then of course, when I went to theater school, I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder about theater school because I don't think it's a necessity to be an actor. I think a lot of theater schools take themselves too seriously. And one of the things I was told was that people who look like how I look aren't funny or will never be perceived as funny, because the industry is all about hits and what do you look like, and okay, you're the girl next door hit, so you need to really sharpen your skills on that ingenue role. And so I did. I spent 4 years doing a lot of classical theater, playing a lot of dramatic roles, and I learned a lot of amazing skills. I do feel like I have a larger emotional spectrum as an actor thanks to that work. But it was also years that took me away from writing comedy, working on joke timing, working on improvising with other collaborators. So after university, it took a couple years for me to go, oh wait, no, I think I am funny. I don't think that they knew what they were talking about. I think people laugh at my jokes. It took a little while, and then I eventually kind of found my way back into comedy, and it turns out that's how I love communicating. That's how I love talking about difficult topics. It's my writing style, it's my personality, and so kind of just, in spite of my efforts to try and not be a comedian, it found its way back to me.
I hope you die in a fire. What? Just kidding.
And that's so funny. In spite of my efforts, I did everything that I could.
I did. I played all the roles. I played Juliet. I played Lady Macbeth. I, you know, tried to audition for very, very serious roles, which I mean, I would still absolutely love to do. But I think like the heart of what I really, really enjoy is comedy.
You know what? I agree. I have watched some of your skits, and you know, I watched the skit about feminism. Are we bad feminists? And I was like, this is so relatable. Just that conversation between you and your friend. I was like, literally, I would say every single line in this skit.
I feel like he sees me and he's like, oh, so give me a little, but I can birth children.
Children. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah! You get me more. Come on!
I think it speaks on the fact that you really took the fact that you are a woman and brought it into your comedy. How do you go about doing that and making it funny?
I think when I did do the total shift into comedy, I wanted to do something that only I could do. Because of course there's such a high saturation on YouTube of different content and different comedy content that all you can do is stay in your own lane and say, well, what is my perspective? What can I bring to the table that's original, that's only mine? So I wanted to talk about what being a woman was like. And I think that's hopefully reflected in all of my videos. You know, they all attack certain subjects with the lens of being a millennial woman. And I also wanted to talk about things that I struggle with internally. One of them in that video is like, yeah, I'm a feminist. Everybody should be a feminist. But at the end of the day, there's like a biological issue that we cannot be equal, you know?
I guess we aren't going to be needing this anymore. Not until we have some help.
Yeah, get some testosterone.
Let's make sure it's tight.
There was another video I did where my girlfriend and I are talking about how we support other women. It's something about women support women, and we're like talking about how much women should uphold other women and support and raise other women. But then I see that like my crush is like dating another girl and she's super hot, and so all we do is tear her down.
She's a little
She's kind of
trying too hard.
exactly.
Like, I mean, she's pretty, but
Well, it's a bit much.
not that I'm criticizing her. Oh God, no, of course not.
Sometimes that's what you need in the moment. Like there's such hypocrisy in being a woman and being a feminist, and I love poking fun at that. I think it's because I think it's really relatable.
Growing up, who were your idols? Like, why did you want to get into comedy?
My dad is very funny, and my dad like gravitates to comedy. So he would, I mean, at an early age, he would show me Young Frankenstein, like Mel Brooks. He would show me Fawlty Towers. So a lot of like these traditional men in the comedy space. And I just loved them. I loved them so much. And I just wanted to be them. I didn't have a lot of female comedian inspirations growing up, which I think is part of the reason why I was convinced that I couldn't do comedy in university. But yeah, watching those videos, I was like, man, this is what life is about, is laughing like this, you know?
Which brings me to my next point is you didn't have those female idols. I'm sure you had some fears going in. You want to talk about those fears a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I had been on the internet for a while doing food stuff, so I had kind of dealt with, you know, the trolls and hate that comes with being on the internet. I think what I wasn't prepared for, and I guess something I'm still processing, is male comedians don't have to deal with the constant critique of their bodies, and unfortunately, or their looks, and unfortunately, it really, really undermines your writing.
Okay, we got way off track. Way off track. That's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
And I find that part really, really challenging. I'll write a great sketch, and a third of the comments will be about what I look like in the sketch. And I find that's still something I'm getting over. I mean, it doesn't keep me up at night, but I do find it really disappointing because they'll be like, oh my God, you look so hot. And it's like, I know, but also like can we just not talk about that for this one? Can we just talk about like, how was the performance, or how was the writing? You know, I would much prefer constructive criticism than somebody commenting on what I look like.
Since you've started making these videos and you know you've had that hate from being a woman in comedy, have you seen it get better? Do you think it's getting better?
Honestly, I haven't really felt it change. I felt people be more positive, but I think there's still a lot of comments on what I look like. A lot of comments on what I look like, a lot of comments on, you know, sexually objectifying me. That hasn't seemed to change.
You've been in comedy for a couple of years now. What is your tip for young girls that are trying to get into the industry?
I would say honor your voice. I mean, I said it before, but the internet is highly saturated with content. There's billions of hours of content uploaded. So all you can do is stay true to your voice and your unique perspective. If you do that, then you're going to bring something brand new to the table. So I think that there's a lot of people trying to jump on bandwagons, trying to make content for views. And I think that that's misguided. I think that if you're going to be an artist and if you're going to be in this industry with longevity, I think you need to stay true to yourself, be honest and authentic.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe to our Narcity channel to see more great content.